The president in the White House yesterday amping up his tariff threats, this time on the European Union, a 200% levy on European alcohol. Now, the president is responding to the EU's decision to put a 50% tax on U.S. whiskey in response to Trump's 25% tariffs on steel and aluminum. The salvos are going back and forth. The president's reciprocal tariffs are still looming. They are coming on April 2nd. Ashley, I think some people think the president is joking about the 51st state, but he's not joking about tariffs. He said yesterday he is not backing down. They are coming on April 2nd. At this point, I'd say we have clarity. The president is putting the tariffs in place.
Absolutely, especially on April 2nd. I still think that he's using over the next couple weeks and will continue to use these tariffs as kind of a carrot and stick type of conversation, especially with Mexico and Canada. But listen, I think that Mexico is doing a much better job than Canada is in regards to their reaction to Trump on some of these issues. They are coming out further ahead, especially because of the poisonous relationship with Trudeau that the president has. Obviously, Mark Carney comes in today, gets sworn in, and will be interesting to see how his relationship with Trump is. But the Premier of Ontario, who has been going after him hard, Ford, he has been taking a little bit of a step back over the last couple of days because I think they are realizing that that's not probably the way to deal with the president. President.
What do you think, Mario?
Absolutely. I agree with that sentiment. You know, if you poke a bear, you're going to get the claws. And at the end of the day, especially right now with Europe, if they're saying, hey, you know what, we're going to raise you, Trump's going to double down and go all in. And with our trade with Europe, again, the numbers are in our favor. We do have the leverage. We import more than we export, and I think it's just going to be a strategic tool. And I do think a lot of these countries are going to come to the table, and as Trump said, and as he's always said, and he said it in your interview, Maria, he wants fairer trade practice. He wants what's best for America. And I know with tariffs, there's going to be a lot of uncertainty. There'll be some consequences, but in the end, it's a little short-term pain for long-term gain. He's trying to level the playing field.
Well, that's what the president says, and that's what Howard Lutnick says. There will be some pain, but at the end, it will be worth it. Yep. You know, Cheryl, we're looking at corporate America right now, recalibrating, thinking, how am I going to, number one, get into the president's good graces? How am I going to have a voice at the table in terms of policy? And on the other hand, how am I going to adjust my business to actually do more manufacturing in America and avoid these tariffs? That's what's going on right now. And we're going to hear this play out during the profit season. OK, the quarter is over in 2 weeks. Don't underestimate the number of pre-announcements we're going to get going into earnings season, because companies need to recalibrate.
Yeah, look, many of these public companies are alcohol companies. We've talked about that this morning already, about the 200% tariff clamping down. That's going to hurt Kentucky bourbon distillers, for example. But, you know, the auto industry, I think, is going to be the most telling. I think if we do start to get some pre-announcements and some warnings coming out of Ford and GM and others, and then maybe some of these companies on your screen as well, and these are multi-billion-dollar industries in our country. You know, that's where I think that the rubber's going to meet the road. Now, these CEOs have been going to Washington, and their lobbyists have been going to Washington. Heck, they've moved to Washington, Maria, because they are trying to, if they can get a carve out, if they can maybe talk the president back from some of this, I don't know if he's going to be successful, they're doing everything that they can. And, you know, at the end of the day, too, when if prices do start to really increase on cars and alcohol and lumber, you know, we're going to see how that all plays out, not with consumer spending, which has been problematic. Our economy is not exactly on strong footing right now. We're in a little bit of a precarious situation with the U.S. economy, Maria.
Yeah, the Atlanta Federal Reserve expecting a contraction in the first quarter. We'll be watching that story play out as well.